if you leave dogs alone,
Yeah.
they don't look like poodles and dachshunds
Right.
and
Right.
whippets and Shar-Peis.
Right.
They will go back to basically a wolf state.
Mm-hmm.
What we have as pets are mutations.
This is Ask Dr. E, where Dr. Michael Easley answers your biblical or theological questions in 10 minutes or less. Today's question comes from Deborah. Deborah writes, what is your belief/interpretation of when God created dinosaurs, and why were they not on Noah's Ark? How do you know that, Deborah? How do you know they weren't on Noah's Ark?
Well, the giraffe always has its head sticking out.
Yeah,
of the
there's
ark.
no dino depictions.
Yeah,
That's
yeah,
true.
yeah.
Gosh. We need to make a new children's book.
There you
Just
go.
all about the dinos.
Dinosaurs,
Just
yeah.
dinos on the ark. It'll
There was
just be
another ark.
two arcs, yes. And that one didn't make it, which is how the dinosaurs went.
Hey, that's a new theory we can add.
New York Times
Good
bestseller.
Work. Good work. So Deborah, I line up with what we call a young Earth, or 6 literal 24-hour days of creation. Of course, there's older theorists, and you can spend time doing that if you want. So it begins with, did he create the world in 6 days and then rest? Genesis 1:21 reads, God created living creatures, sea monsters, birds, cattle, creeping things, beasts of the earth. So this is on day 5 and 6. In Genesis 1:29, we read specifically that animals are vegetarians, as were man and woman. We weren't meat eaters until after the fall. So God creates the heavens, the earth, the stars, the skies, the monsters, the beasts, all this. Why wouldn't this include dinosaurs? And there's a lot of discussion about what the earth was like before the flood. That's for the astrophysicists and other people to argue about, whether it was an atmosphere or a canopy. There's all sorts of theories of why man lived as long as he did. Adam lived 930 years. Methuselah, the old Earth proponents have ways of discussing that. So did the young Earth creationists. But the fossil records are all over the Earth that there were dinosaurs. So at one point they were on the planet, and we've got great reconstructions in museums all over the world that show what these monsters look like.
Have you seen the thing about how some people think, or scientists think, that dinosaurs were covered more in feathers than like the reptilian? It's interesting because we wouldn't know from fossil records. Anyway, I digress.
Steven Spielberg in his first Jurassic, the theory for a lot of these guys was they evolved into birds and flew away.
Right.
And if you remember that little homage when they're in a helicopter, there's a group of whatever they all pterodactyls flying away, and he goes, see, they are birds. It's like, okay, whatever. Great movie if you like that kind of thing.
Great movie.
Noah's Ark is, the answers in Genesis, and the Ark encounter is worth your time.
Okay.
Even if you're not a young Earth person, to go see this reconstruction. They did a very good job. A cubit is probably 18 inches. So we have enough information to know the dimensions. The stylistic design of the boat is a little bit, I would say it's rabbinical stretch, but it's not inaccurate.
Okay.
When you go in these models and see what a stall would be, not unlike a zoo stall, they have got it down to a pretty exact science on the number of species that would have been on the ark. Now, this is debated, but it's illustrative. If you leave dogs alone, they don't look like poodles and dachshunds and whippets and Shar-Peis.
Right.
They will go back to basically a wolf state. What we have as pets are mutations. We tease out, factor out, we breed them so they're a purebred German Shepherd. Okay, you leave them alone, they basically become a coyote, a wolf of a kind. Even AKC certification indicates that there were 2 dogs in the beginning. Get the AKC manual and read the first couple pages. So they mutated, they evolved. We talk about evolution within a species. So dogs that live in colder climes, dogs that live in warmer climes, etc. So they're still dogs, and left alone, they go back to mama, so to speak.
Right.
So the same is true with all species.
Everything.
So with that in mind, one of the conservative estimates is there could have been a number, let's just say 50 dinosaurs in junior stage.
Right.
They meant to be full grown.
Right.
They could be a junior that will develop into a couple, a male and female, that can reproduce later on. If that's the case, what happened? They died.
Right.
They died out.
Right.
Just like we have other species that are extinct. And I don't go to global warming and climate change because this happens thousands of years ago when after the flood occurs, after animal, they migrate into the land, they reproduce, they rebuild the earth, they have a new environment after the fall, and they're going to die out. And there's going to be other floods and other disasters. We've had other species in our time die out for who knows why.
Sure.
So they died.
Right.
Now, there could have been some species that never made it on the ark. And there's the old lore about the unicorn. Be that as it may, the species that God had on the ark were sufficient for what he intended after the flood. So I think they either drowned or the juniors that were on the ark eventually became extinct. And there's all kinds of reasons why they would have become extinct. But even mammoths, there's some discussion about are they still around? Is there a sort of evolved elephant that goes back to the woolly mammoth?
That's interesting.
And so, this stuff is fascinating. Answers in Genesis has got great resources. And you can go there and they'll have stuff for children on dinosaurs because, you have one boy that was really into dinosaurs for a while.
He still is.
And
it's amazing the names of dinosaurs that are just deep in his brain that, I'm like, I've never heard of that word, but he's right. You look it up and you're like, that is
when we
what
babysit, his routine is, Saba, tell us dinosaur jokes. So I'm looking them up on the phone and we're going over dinosaur jokes. And of course, he may not get it, but it's the funniest thing in the world.
Well, he does have a book that explains what happens to the dinosaurs.
Oh, good.
Yeah. And I think it's called Dinosaurs Love Underpants. And it's about how cavemen wore underwear, but the dinosaurs wanted it for themselves. And the dinosaurs ended up killing each other over the cavemen underwear. And then the moral of the book is like, so, be grateful for that underwear because remember the dinosaurs killed each other over. I don't know. It is the weirdest, funniest.
Sounds like a good Christian book.
Well, it's actually, okay. So everyone wants to hear this. I know. So I'm going to share it. Pax, he's in pre-K. In his pre-K school, it was like bring your favorite book to school day. And I showed it to Tyler and I was like, we're literally sending a book about underwear to school. I wonder what the teachers are going to think about that. But anyway, so that's what happened to the dinosaurs.
That's good to know. I didn't know that one. Yeah.
Anyway. Well, if you have a question for Dr. E about dinosaurs.
Not underpants.
Underpants or CAFIN or something else, call us, text us, email us. Ask Dr. E is produced by me, Hannah Seymour, mixed and mastered by Sonomorphic, and music composed by Jason Germain.